Michael's hidden truths. Michael loved playing soccer and reading storybooks. At just 10 years old, he was a bright and lively boy in primary school. However, most days he returned to an empty house because his parents were always working. His father, Mr. David, and his mother, Mrs. Mma, owned a large shop in the city market. They worked tirelessly to provide Michael with a good life, but their absence left him lonely. Every afternoon, the school bus would drop Michael at 3 p.m., but he would remain alone until 6 p.m. when his mother returned. "I am so bored staying here by myself," he complained one evening. "We are sorry, Michael, but it's just for a few hours. We have to work hard to pay for your school fees and other needs," Mrs. Mma explained. Michael understood but still wished that they had more time for him. One day, Mrs. Mma had an idea. "Why don't we ask Auntie Informa, our neighbor, to look after you until we come home?" she suggested. Auntie Informa was in her late 20s and lived alone. She was always very cheerful and kind, so Michael's parents trusted her. "Okay, Mom," Michael agreed. He knew Auntie Informa well. She often greeted him with a warm smile and small treats. Soon, Michael started staying at Auntie Informa's house after school. Her home was small but neat. She welcomed him with food and asked about his day. Over time, he grew comfortable around her. Auntie Informa was exceptionally kind. She bought cartoons and fun children's movies for Michael. One day, she handed him a video game console with a soft smile. "Michael, take this. It's for you. You're like the younger brother I never had," she said. Michael hesitated at first but eventually accepted it with gratitude. However, from that day on, things started to change. It began one Tuesday afternoon when Auntie Informa suggested a new game. "This game is just for both of us, Michael. Nobody else can know about it," she whispered. Michael was confused. The game was unlike anything he had played before. Auntie Informa guided his hands to explore her body, making strange sounds and expressions. "Auntie, I don't like this game," Michael said, fear in his voice. "Don't worry, Michael. With time, you will enjoy it," she assured him. Day after day, the game became a routine, one Michael dreaded. He was too young to understand what was happening, but he knew he didn't like it. Michael started avoiding Auntie Informa. He would stay longer at school, hoping to delay going home. On days when school closed early, he dragged his feet on his way home. One evening, he decided to tell his parents. "Mom, I need to tell you something," he started hesitantly. Mrs. Mma, tired from work, barely listened. "Michael, your dad and I work hard to give you a good life. Auntie Informa is helping us. You will get to like her," she said, dismissing him. "But Mom," "No buts, Michael. Now go to your room and finish your homework." That night, Michael cried silently. No one wanted to listen to him. The next morning, he woke up to discover that he had wet the bed. Michael had stopped bedwetting years ago. He was shocked. Was this because of Auntie Informa's game? He hid the evidence, afraid his mother would scold him. But the bedwetting continued and he knew something was terribly wrong. One afternoon, when Auntie Informa approached him for the game, Michael finally spoke up. "Auntie, I don't like your game. It makes me wet the bed. I don't feel good." For a moment, Auntie Informa was silent. Then she forced a smile. "It's normal for boys your age. Don't worry, you will get over it." But Michael wasn't convinced. His heart pounded every time he entered her house. His grades dropped and he stopped playing with friends. He felt trapped. His teacher, Mrs. Anoli, noticed his change. She was kind and observant. Michael, is something wrong? She asked. Michael hesitated. He wanted to tell her, but felt ashamed. No, ma'am, everything is fine. He lied. That night, Michael decided he couldn't take it anymore. The next day, after class, he approached Mrs. Anuli. Auntie Ifoma does things to me. Makes me do things I can't explain, he whispered. Mrs. Anuli was shocked. She immediately reported the matter to the headmistress, who called Michael's parents to the school. Mr. David was furious. She did what? He roared, standing abruptly. After careful deliberation, he agreed to involve the police. That evening, Mrs. Umma picked up Michael from school and held his hand tightly. I am sorry, my son. I should have listened to you. I won't let this happen again. Later that night, a loud knock sounded at Auntie Ifoma's door. When she opened it, she was met with the stern faces of 3 police officers. Miss Ifoma, you are under arrest for child abuse. She froze, fear flashing in her eyes. You must be mistaken. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court, the officer stated as he handcuffed her. Michael watched from his window, feeling a wave of relief as Auntie Ifoma was led away. From that day on, his parents paid more attention to him. They took turns picking him up from school and spending time with him. At school, Mrs. Anuli kept a close eye on him and encouraged all students to speak up when something was wrong. Though the bedwetting didn't stop immediately, Michael's therapist assured his parents that with time he would heal. Moral lesson. Parents must listen to their children and pay attention to their emotional and physical well-being. Children should be taught to speak up when something feels wrong. Abuse can happen anywhere, even from a trusted person. Adults must be vigilant. Teachers and caregivers play a vital role in identifying and protecting children in danger. I hope you enjoyed the tale. If so, please like the video, share, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Also turn on your notification to get more enchanted tales like this one. Goodbye.